Eat eggs, but never make these 8 mistakes. If there is one food that is part of our daily lives and that brings countless benefits to our health, that food is the egg. It is one of the best sources of protein, helps strengthen muscles, protects memory, and can even be a great ally for the heart. But are you consuming eggs the right way? Unfortunately, many people make mistakes without knowing it, and this can compromise the benefits of this superfood and even harm your health. That is why today we are going to reveal what the 8 most common mistakes when consuming eggs are and what to do to avoid them. And of course, we will also explain all the benefits of this incredible food. Before we begin, I would like to know, what is your age and which city are you watching from? Leave this information in the comments. I would love to know. And take the opportunity to subscribe to the channel so you do not miss essential tips for your health. So let us now discover the 8 mistakes you should avoid when eating eggs. First mistake, frying eggs in an excessive amount of oil or fat. This is probably the most common mistake, as many people have the habit of pouring too much oil into the frying pan. The major problem is that the excessive use of oil increases the intake of saturated fats and calories, and this, over time, can result in weight gain, an increase in bad cholesterol, and cardiovascular problems. Moreover, when oil is heated to high temperatures, substances that irritate the digestive system can form. Several nutrition specialists have already demonstrated that prolonged frying with too much fat can overload the liver, causing discomforts such as heartburn, poor digestion, and a heavy stomach feeling. For people over 50 years old, it is very important to take care of heart and digestive health, since both can become more sensitive with age. Therefore, if you are going to prepare fried eggs, use a minimal amount of oil, or prefer oils that are more stable at high temperatures, such as extra virgin olive oil or even coconut oil, without exaggeration. If possible, opt for nonstick frying pans, which eliminate the need to use much oil. This way, you reduce the risk of inflammation and heart problems. Second mistake, consuming eggs with bacon or processed meats in excess. It is common to find combinations like eggs with bacon at breakfast and snacks, as they are very tasty. However, processed meats such as bacon, sausage, and other cold cuts tend to contain high levels of saturated fats, sodium, and chemical additives that can be harmful to your health, increasing the risk of hypertension and heart diseases. The World Health Organization has already issued warnings about the excessive consumption of processed foods, relating them to a higher incidence of cardiovascular problems. If you are already over 50 years old, your body tends to be more sensitive to foods that raise blood pressure and hinder blood circulation. Some studies indicate that reducing the consumption of processed meats helps maintain stable cholesterol levels and, of course, protects the heart. Therefore, if you do not want to give up the flavor, try to reduce the frequency with which you use bacon or opt for lower fat versions, always seeking to maintain balance in your diet. Third mistake, failing to refrigerate eggs properly. This is a problem that occurs because many people end up buying eggs and storing them outside the refrigerator, leaving them at room temperature for too long. Although in some countries eggs are treated and go through processes that allow them to be stored outside the refrigerator, the general recommendation is to always keep them refrigerated, as this decreases the risk of bacterial proliferation such as salmonella. When eggs are not well protected from heat, the chance of these bacteria developing increases significantly, which can lead to infections that manifest with diarrhea, fever, and dehydration, especially dangerous for elderly people. Research has already pointed out that foodborne infections can be more severe in individuals over 50 years old, as the immune system tends to become more sensitive over time. Therefore, when buying eggs, place them in the inner part of the refrigerator, preferably on the shelf, and never in the door, which is a place where the temperature fluctuates greatly. In addition, always check the expiration date and do not buy eggs that have cracks or a dubious appearance. With this simple care, you protect your health and ensure the quality of the food. Fourth mistake, cooking eggs in the wrong way and ignoring the proper cooking point. This mistake happens both with boiled eggs and with poached eggs, or even when preparing omelets. If the egg is not cooked or heated to adequate temperatures, there is a risk of ingesting bacteria that can cause gastrointestinal infections. On the other hand, overcooking can make the texture of the egg very hard and unpleasant, besides causing some nutrients, such as certain B-complex vitamins, to degrade. There are studies that show that the ideal cooking time for the whole egg is around 8 to 10 minutes, ensuring the elimination of unwanted germs without losing nutritional value. In the case of poached eggs, extra care is needed, as the yolk remains semi-liquid. It is important that at least the egg white is firm, as this indicates that the temperature was sufficient to kill possible bacteria. Adjusting the cooking point is not only a matter of taste, but also of food safety and nutrient preservation. Fifth mistake: discarding the yolk and consuming only the egg white on every occasion. Many people believe that the yolk is the big villain because it contains cholesterol, but it is also the part of the egg richest in nutrients. The yolk carries vitamins such as A, D, E, and K, in addition to essential fatty acids and antioxidants, important for vision and proper brain function. In later years, taking care of cognitive health and vision becomes fundamental to preserving quality of life and independence. There is research indicating that the antioxidants present in the yolk, such as lutein and zeaxanthin, help protect the eyes against degenerative diseases, such as macular degeneration. If there are no specific medical recommendations to cut out the yolk, the ideal is not to discard this component of the egg. Of course, in some contexts, it may be interesting to use only the egg whites, especially in diets that restrict calories or fats. However, making this a constant habit without professional guidance can lead to the loss of nutrients that are especially beneficial for those over 50. Therefore, balance your preparations and try to enjoy the egg as a whole, taking advantage of all its benefits. Sixth mistake: consuming raw or poorly sanitized eggs in homemade preparations. There is a habit among some people of adding raw eggs to smoothies, juices, or even eating raw egg white to increase protein intake. However, this can represent a high risk of contamination by bacteria such as salmonella. In elderly people, the symptoms of food poisoning can be much more severe than in young adults. For example, the dehydration resulting from severe diarrhea can lead to cardiac and kidney complications. In addition, raw egg white contains a substance called avidin, which binds to biotin and decreases its absorption, potentially causing nutritional deficiency if raw egg consumption is very frequent. Hygiene is another crucial point. Using eggs with dirty shells or that have not been cleaned properly also increases the chance of carrying microorganisms into the food. Therefore, if you wish to prepare recipes that call for raw eggs, such as some homemade mayonnaises or creams, look for alternatives that use pasteurized eggs or preparation techniques that involve heating to a safe temperature. This way, you reduce the risks of contamination and ensure a healthier diet. Seventh mistake: acquiring eggs of dubious origin or without certification. Unfortunately, many people end up buying eggs at open-air markets or even in stores that do not offer a guarantee of origin, simply because the price is lower. The major risk is that these eggs may have been produced under inadequate hygienic conditions or stored improperly, which considerably increases the possibility of bacterial contamination. In older individuals, any intestinal infection can trigger a chain of problems, such as dehydration, electrolyte imbalance, and even worsening of pre-existing diseases, such as diabetes and hypertension. Regulated egg packaging usually includes information about the expiration date, inspection stamp, and storage guidelines. According to data from health surveillance agencies, a large part of foodborne disease outbreaks occurs in establishments without quality control. Therefore, avoid buying very dirty cracked eggs or from vendors who do not maintain minimum hygiene conditions. Always opt for brands recognized in the market, check the expiration date, and when you get home, store them properly. This is a simple way to protect yourself and your family. Eighth mistake: exaggerating the quantity of eggs consumed daily. Although eggs are important sources of proteins and good fats, and many health professionals point out that their regular consumption can be beneficial for the heart and the maintenance of muscle mass, it is essential to avoid excesses. Some people believe that eating 6, 7, or more eggs per day is always advantageous, but this can lead to nutritional imbalance, as the body also needs other nutrients from fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and plant-based proteins. In addition, very high egg consumption can increase the amount of cholesterol ingested, which for some more sensitive individuals may be a problem. There are studies suggesting that most people can eat 1 egg per day without significant impacts on cholesterol, but this does not mean that one can overindulge without any risk. Each body is unique, especially in later years, and may respond differently to an excessive consumption of animal fats and proteins. Therefore, moderation is ideal. If you really enjoy eggs, consult a nutritionist to assess whether your body is tolerating the consumption well and to receive personalized guidance. This way, you avoid health problems and maintain a balanced diet. Now that we have discussed the main mistakes we should avoid when consuming eggs, let us highlight how this food can be extremely beneficial for our body, provided it is included in a balanced diet and prepared correctly. One of the most notable aspects is the egg's high-quality protein. Several scientific studies classify it as one of the foods with the best protein utilization index for the human body. This means that the protein present in it is easily used by the body to build and repair muscle tissues, which is very important in the later stages of life when there is a natural tendency to lose muscle mass. In addition, eggs provide B-complex vitamins such as B2, B6, and B12, which help in energy metabolism and in the formation of blood cells, thereby contributing to the prevention of anemia. Another highlight is the presence of choline, an essential nutrient for the proper functioning of the brain, as it is involved in the formation of neurotransmitters responsible for memory and learning. Elderly people benefit greatly from a good intake of choline, as this can help maintain cognitive function for a longer time. It is also worth mentioning that the egg yolk contains healthy fats, such as monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fatty acids, which, if consumed in moderation, help maintain good levels of high-density lipoprotein cholesterol, supporting cardiovascular health. In addition, it is a source of antioxidants that help combat oxidative stress, a process that can cause cellular damage and accelerate aging. This antioxidant effect is very useful in preventing chronic diseases, such as cancer and degenerative disorders. Many health professionals recommend the egg as part of a balanced diet because it helps in weight control. Being rich in protein, it provides greater satiety, which prevents overeating at other meals. And for those who are concerned about blood pressure, research indicates that eggs may have bioactive compounds that help regulate pressure, although this benefit depends on other factors, such as reducing salt consumption and adopting a healthy lifestyle. It is also worth remembering that eggs are relatively affordable and easy to prepare, making them a practical option for those who wish to maintain a more nutritious diet without spending too much time or money. The benefits do not stop there. The egg is versatile, as it can be included in breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Each meal can bring different advantages, but in general, it will offer its high-quality protein, essential vitamins, and fats that favor the proper functioning of the body, especially in later years. Therefore, besides avoiding the 8 mistakes mentioned, it is fundamental to enjoy this food in a varied and intelligent way, ensuring a nutritional intake that will help you keep your health in check. And how about some healthy combinations for breakfast, so you can start the day with energy and well-being? First suggestion: scrambled eggs with spinach and tomato. Spinach contributes iron, folic acid, and calcium, nutrients important for preventing anemia and strengthening bones. Tomato, besides adding a touch of flavor, offers lycopene, an antioxidant that supports heart health and helps prevent certain types of cancer. When we combine these vegetables with scrambled eggs prepared with a little oil, we are creating a nutritious and practical breakfast that helps maintain energy levels throughout the day and supports the protection of the immune system. Second suggestion: an omelet made with egg whites and yolks with oatmeal and flaxseed. You can mix finely rolled oats and ground flaxseed into the egg mixture before putting it in the frying pan. Oatmeal is rich in soluble fiber, which helps control cholesterol and regulate intestinal transit, reducing that feeling of bloating. Flaxseed, in turn, provides plant-based omega-3 fatty acids, which contribute to the reduction of inflammatory processes in the body. This combination ensures satiety, aids in proper intestinal function, and supports the health of the heart and joints. Third suggestion: a poached egg on a slice of whole wheat bread with mashed avocado. Avocado is a source of good fats, indispensable for proper cellular function and hormone production, especially in more advanced ages. When combined with a poached egg, we have a balanced meal in high-quality protein, healthy fats, and fiber. This type of breakfast can provide a longer feeling of satiety, helping with weight control and balancing blood sugar levels. These 3 combinations are easy to make, do not require much time in the kitchen, and add essential nutrients for those seeking vitality, good digestion, and cardiovascular protection in individuals over 50. The most important thing is to adapt the recipe to your personal taste, always prioritizing fresh ingredients and reducing the amount of oil, salt, and industrialized seasonings. Thus, your breakfast will be more delicious and beneficial to your health. To conclude, it is essential to remember that every detail in the way you consume eggs can directly influence your health. Paying attention to storage, the method of preparation, and the origin of the product is an essential part of a healthy lifestyle that should be maintained to ensure a better quality of life. Do not be afraid to include eggs in your menu, but do so consciously and in balance, avoiding the mistakes we discussed and taking full advantage of the benefits this food can offer. Before we finish, I am curious to know, do you usually make any of the 8 mistakes when consuming eggs? And how do you usually prepare your eggs? Leave your answer in the comments. And if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, subscribe now to continue receiving important tips that can transform your health and well-being. Thank you very much for your company and see you in the next video.